Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brave Healing Podcast. I'm Laura DeFranco, and it's my mission to build a revolution of healers who are sharing their words and messages out loud and changing the world one brave word at a time. Thank you so much for being here to listen in today. This is a really special episode, you guys, because I have three of the 25 amazing authors of the new book, The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing Techniques, here to help me with my mission today. The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing Techniques is a collection of 25 powerful holistic practices and tools you can use at home for peak health and wellness. You're going to learn from 25 experts who are sharing their stories, passions, and transformational tools with you. Most toolbooks, you guys, the ones that I own anyway, they only focus on one thing, one modality or one tool. So it was my specific goal to create a very unique collaboration here instead. And, listeners, if you're listening to the podcast in celebration of this new book, this episode is available in full video format inside a special group on Facebook for our Amazon purchasers. So if you're wanting to access all 25 authors, special interviews, Q&A, video trainings of the tools, all kinds of bonuses I can't even think of right now to list, please see our show notes with the details. Laura Mazzotta is an expert therapist and certified Akashic Records practitioner with over 16 years of experience. She's passionate about guiding therapists, coaches, and healers in the space of the Akashic Records to gain clarity and decisiveness in their lives and business. Laura, so just you've been hearing some things about, being a healer, and you are one of those amazing people who help people in all kinds of different ways. And you chose to, I can't remember, I was telling another author this, I might have chose your topic for you, or you chose your topic for you. It could have gone in either direction. But tapping is honestly one of my favorite tools, not only because I can do it myself, but just because of the profound changes I felt when I got into that. So talk to us a little bit about your chapter and why tapping.
Sure. So if tapping is also called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's an energy psychology technique that really allows us to use our mind and body to shift and release some of the negativity or stuck emotions that have been building for years, or even days, or even weeks. And at the same time, after you release, you have the opportunity to then internalize and integrate new belief systems and new feelings that you're now choosing to move forward on your path. And that's why I like it so much, because first of all, by the time we get to the point where we think I need tapping, most of us have some kind of presentation in our physical body, whether it's discomfort or we're feeling a lot of negative emotion that's interfering with our functioning. And so it's beautiful because this allows us to return to our bodies and create that foundation of safety within ourselves by saying, all right, I'm going to tap out all of this stuff that I don't want, that no longer serves me. And now I've opened up some energetic space within me to then put new belief systems in. And I love that it incorporates both, because I think a lot of times, we look at modalities and say, okay, this is a great time to bring this up and let's talk about it. And then where are we then integrating right away? The new stuff, the stuff you want to hold on to and have lasting change with.
I will never forget my first experience with tapping was actually with a practitioner, meaning my first experience wasn't just trying it on my own. I accessed a healer that I had heard about, like a recommendation, and I didn't know what modalities she practiced. So I just showed up and I'm like, I want a session, But I'll never forget after my session with her, which was guided tapping basically, and the guided piece of the dialogue, which was very powerful. And she, of course, was an extremely intuitive, amazing woman. But I left that office feeling like 100 pounds had lifted from my body. Yeah. That was the physical feeling I had. And I couldn't quite I was still processing as I was leaving that office and like trying to figure out what just happened from me sitting in a chair, tapping my face and talking with her. Right. And I loved it. It was amazing. So I always tell people, if you're having trouble doing it on your own, please access somebody who can guide you for a time or two. Would you agree? And, or what would you say about that?
No, so what I usually do is I will take my clients through tappings and we'll record them and then they can have access to them, which is good because it's personalized. And I think that it depends on what you've gone through. A lot of my clients are able to kind of jump on YouTube and find a lot of free tappings for pretty much anything you can think of. But the biggest complaint that I usually get is not the whole thing didn't really resonate with me, or I couldn't go deeper. So that's really the benefit that you get if you work with a practitioner, because I find that the real core beliefs and that deeper stuff that you want to release happens on round 3. So it's like we tap through round 1 and then we kind of journal about that. And then we tap on the stuff we journaled and then we tap again. And by round 3, you're really at that aha moment where it's like, oh, okay, this is what was underneath all of this. And it's just, when you get to that deeper stuff, it's nice to have somebody hold space for you and just be compassionate and be able to intuitively tune in and help you excavate some of that deeper stuff.
That's a great word, excavate. And thank you. You are giving away a little a video instruction and worksheet for people to come up with their own scripts. I think this is a really valuable prize that they can win. And so if you're hearing this and you're hearing the word prize right now and you don't know what I'm talking about, all of our purchasers are going to be entered in for giveaways and drawings, and you can come into a special group on Facebook where all of our authors are, and like there's so much goodness going on with this, you guys. So check those show notes. And okay, so if there was one more thing you wanted to say about your chapter in particular, just to the reader who's moving through that, or about tapping, what would it be?
I would say 2 things. One is definitely watch the video on my resources page, because tapping is experiential. So I want you to be patient with yourself and realize that not all tappers use the same points. So you can play with the different points. You can play with just saying the same statement over and over again, that there are no fixed rules on it. So be patient with yourself and just practice. Just keep practicing. And I promise you, it will be rewarding and you will become proficient in it.
And that just makes me think to say thank you to all of you who were willing to try to write your modality, because everybody does experiential things with their clients, and it's either one-on-one or it's on video, or you share video resources. And that's why many of you have included resources in your chapter that people can just take it a step further, right? So thank you for taking that on. It's not easy all the time to write it in a book in words and so that the reader really, has the experience. But honestly, that was one of the other big goals I had, that each chapter wasn't going to be just a teaser, but by the end of that chapter, you guys gave the person an experience that they could then feel something from. And it wasn't just like, oh, now I have to go somewhere else for it. You gave it to them in the chapter, which again, you guys are awesome. So what do you think, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the heels of what you were saying too. I mean, I jumped into my healing journey because of medical issues and because I hit a certain wall with the medical community. I got so far, they helped me. But, what I've learned is that we all have such a unique blueprint, and every single one of us is different. Every snowflake is different. Every drop of water is different. We're all different. And so being able to really get to know and become familiar with all of those resources that you have within you at each layer. And, especially for those people, I help a lot of people with chronic issues, whether that's mental health related or physical, that we really want to make sure we get to any longstanding patterns that have existed generationally or in past lives or in ancestral history, and really starting to uncover the layers that are not necessarily consciously coming into your awareness.
Yeah, and of course, our friend, author friend Jacqueline Kane is actually hitting up that topic in chapter 24, I believe it is. And how amazing that we have a book that is going to span all mind, body, and soul, you know, and each chapter itself is doing that. And then the whole book is doing that. So, you know, staying with you, Laura, for a minute, what's the best part about doing what you do, about being a healer?
The best part about being a healer is the fact that we can connect between practitioner and clients, heart space to heart space, you know, and really feel like we are in this together, you know, and that while I am providing healing or offering that channel for healing, I am also receiving healing. So it's a win-win for everybody. You know, we're in this together. I get things from, you know, whatever might come from somebody else's Akashic Records or their intuition, you know, and that we all can form this collective space together and share in that compassion that we want for one another and for ourselves, and that we're all kind of joining together on a journey.
Okay, so you said it, so I'm going there because, and you guys, if you're listening and you're going to become part of the special bonus group, what's going to go down there in the next 3 months is going to be absolutely spectacular, because every expert author is going to have a chance to live stream teach about a topic. And I want you just quickly, Laura, for the person who has never heard of the Akashic Records, what the heck is it?
The Akashic Records, they're like a spiritual library in the clouds. So it holds the book of everybody's soul, and it's held safe and protected by guides, ascended masters, angels, loved ones who have passed. And when you open up your record, it's like they're taking the book of you off the shelf, and it has all the information about you from when your soul first incarnated and came into being until through future lives. So it's like Google for the soul. You can ask any question you want.
The book of you. There it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I think that being a therapist and then going on this healing journey myself, the reason that I've integrated the healing into the therapeutic work is because of that empowerment. Because it's so much more empowering for the client to be able to, they're not just taking tools that I've given them and practicing them, you know, and therapy is productive, you know, but it's only one layer. And, you know, I've really found that for that sustainable change, for that long-term change, you're really looking for them being able to access those resources within themselves and have that aha moment of, oh my gosh, this is accessible all the time to me. And they feel so resourceful and empowered. And that's that extra layer that healing offers.
And I think that we're all describing a feeling that is this feeling of fulfillment and gratitude and purpose when we're empowering somebody else, right? And I think if people are not being empowered in their healing process, something's wrong. And other thing I know, and maybe each of you could talk about what you think about this, but I know that the best healers are master teachers. And so, Laura, what makes a great teacher in this world?
I think what makes a great teacher is somebody who can have true empathy for the other person and understand the level of unique that they're coming from, really understand their context of where they have come from, and to be able to target. I think when it comes to teaching, you have to make sure that you really understand the other person's learning style and how they integrate and absorb and internalize information and be able to tweak. And that's the other piece about the healing world too. I mean, there's so many modalities, from sound healing to, you know, to visualization, to drawing, to, you know, that really tapping into the modality that is not only speaking their language, but helping them internalize this into their subconscious so that it's long-term.
Okay, so we got one more speed dating question for you. It's my favorite question of all time ever, favorite writing prompt of all time. What do you love to do so much you lose track of time? How about you, Laura?
I would have to agree with Karen. It's really, when I open the Akashic Records, I just get lost, you know, and I could literally just be in them all day long and play with different modalities while I'm in that space, particularly sound healing. I could be swept away and listening to my singing bowls for
Okay, ladies.
hours.
So Laura, let's stay with you for a second. What's one last message you want to say to the reader who's got this beautiful book in their hands? This person who's curious and a seeker and is like just loving the whole title of it. What's one last thing you want to say to them?
So I love the definition. I love the idea of a seeker, but I also know, because being a seeker myself, that I love gathering information and learning as much as I can. So what I would caution you is, don't try to do everything at once. Pick one modality and really stick with it and practice it, and then give yourself a little time to integrate it and see what kinds of shifts and changes are going on before you really dive in and commit to another. And I'm not talking about reading, I'm talking about practice, because especially when you're doing any kind of energetic work, it's definitely making shifts and changes at a deeper level that you're not necessarily consciously aware of. And you don't want to break the human, you want to give your body and your mind a chance to digest and really integrate all of this and have it settle. And then you can try your next one.
Really beautiful advice. I think that's what makes this book such an incredible resource.